Hello and welcome. We are going to check today the games from the sixth round of the World Cup, game number 1. My name is Naiditsch. I am a chess grandmaster, and let's go straight to the games. We have on board 1 Sindarov against Martinez Alcantara. Martinez Alcantara, definitely one of the biggest surprises of the World Cup, winning his matches very easily, I would even say, in great confident way, playing great chess, very stable in classical chess, very strong in rapid and blitz chess. Today he is black against Sindarov. Currently, as we can see, we have an endgame. This endgame might be better for white. It looks a bit better because white simply has more space. On the other hand, very limited amount of material is actually on the board, which gives excellent chances to black to hold the position. All black needs to do is to change. So can black change a pair of knights eventually by playing knight c6 or maybe knight c7, knight to d5, etc. Black has to change the pieces. It is looking not that simple to change here something. Still, black should have excellent chances to equalize usually in such positions because there is just relatively difficult to get advantage for white. Yes, white has more space. Theoretically, white wants to advance like f4, king f2, g4, f5, but even this is just leading to slightly better endgame. So good chances for Martinez Alcantara to hold the current position. Let's check actually how we got here. So we have the move d4 played d5. Just 1 second, I want to check if we are live. Are we? Just a second, please. I want to double check. Yes, we are. So everything is fine. So d4, d5, c4, d takes c4. Martinez is playing the Queen's Gambit accepted. Very solid opening for black. Currently in the World Cup, we saw more often the e6 move being made, but as well d takes c4. Very solid play by black. Knight of 3. There is another move e4 here. But it's just another main line. So knight of 6, e3, e6, takes c5. All is normal. Short castle, bishop e7, d takes c5 played by Sindarov. So Sindarov is playing not the very ambitious line. D takes c5. It leads straight to slightly better endgame for white. Usually white is playing this endgame in two cases. In one case, when white thinks that black endgame skills are just not good enough to hold this slightly worse position than to a draw. And there is another case in case white does not want to risk too much. So maybe Sindarov thought, well, today I try to push a little bit in case black is going to defend well. It's just going to be a draw. So it's like a slight push, which usually leads to a draw. Knight c3, short castle. Okay, bishop e2. Both Sindarov still plays very fast. We can see 1 hour 30 on the clock. And actually Martinez thought a little bit before playing here the move queen d1. This is strange because queen d1 is just the main line. Alright, so bishop e2. It looks like a strange move. On the other hand, the bishop usually wants to get to f3. So the idea of white is not to let the bishop c8. So the black bishop from c8 get to b7 so easily. We have the move knight c6, a3. All is pretty standard. b4 move is coming. b6. Black is trying to get the bishop to b7, b4, bishop e7. So slight advantage for white. We see the move e4. To play something like bishop b2 is also possible, but bishop b7 followed by rook fd8. Well, now we can see that we have symmetrical position here. White is having a little bit more space with a3, b4, but usually it's not enough to get like a big advantage. So should be very close to equal. That's why we have the move e4 being played, with the idea of playing eventually e5, winning a bit of space. Rook d8, black straight, tries to change some pieces, makes sense, e5, and we have the move knight e8. So here black could have played as well the move knight to d5, I believe, take and defend this position with isolated pawn on d5. Yes, it is slightly worse. On the other hand, we have this a3 b4, which is giving to black some counter chances by a5 next. So very, very small advantage here as well for white, nothing major. Knight e8, of course, as well, very solid. Bishop g5, king f8, king is getting closer. And yeah, all is normal. Rook to d1, h6. I don't know if h6 been really needed. Probably the idea is that there is no bishop b7 because of rook to d7 currently. So this is what white been hoping for. That's why we have the move h6 been played as well. I believe the move f6 is looking pretty decent. So okay, maybe actually black could have just taken maybe and then tried to hunt the knight away, and to play king e7 also looks normal. So maybe not so easy because h7 pawn can be taken. So for example, take, we go king e7. I don't know, king e7 or okay, let's say king e7, knight h7, because otherwise it makes no sense. So white has to take, and maybe there is a move like f6. Now the question, can white escape with a knight from h7? In case white can, obviously white is better, but not so simple. So for example, in case white is gonna take and play something like g4 with idea g5, I don't think that would lead to a better position for white, maybe very little better. But okay, maybe black on the other hand didn't want to risk that. That's why we have the move h6 been played. Okay, solid. Bishop b7, knight to d4, and Martinez Alcantara is thinking what to do next. Let's see what happens next. I would guess black should somehow try to change something. So probably he's calculating moves like a5. Does it lead straight away to a draw? Moves like rook c8 also looks pretty normal. On the other hand, there is maybe something like knight to b5. So a7 pawn is getting attacked. In case of a6, b6 pawn somewhere is not the best. Still, everything is very, very close to equal. So of course, white is putting some small pressure, but usually it's not enough for a win. Knight c7, yes, very solid play. Knight goes to d5. What to say? I believe black should be able to hold this position into a draw. Some time advantage for Sindarov, 40 minutes against 23 of black. Currently move 19, so 20 moves to go till move 40. Not yet time troubles, but some small time pressure for Martinez Alcantara, but it should not be enough to win the game for white usually. Okay, let's see. Then we have the match. Clearly, the monster match between Vei and Iragasi. Both of them showed great chess, winning their matches in a very convenient manner, because Iragasi, for example, 2 days ago managed to win a classical game against Aronian. So second big match for Iragasi, this time against Vei. So Vei as well playing a huge tournament, and as well we can see on the ELO we have Vei with 2752 and Iragasi with 2769. So both of them are very, very close. Actually, this match, I guess, maybe even will determine the winner of the World Cup, because these are the two favorites. Luckily or unluckily for them, they have to meet now in the quarterfinals. So only one of them is going to the next round. We have Vei with the white pieces. This game already ended up in a draw. We have the Spanish. Mainly we see Italian and Spanish during the World Cup. These are the two openings which are dominating. We have the move d6, so Iragasi is not even pretending to play the Marshal, because usually we have the short castle move order, and we saw a lot of games on anti-Marshal with the move a4. After c3, d5 we have the Marshal, and according to the current theory it seems to hold for black, so not that many people are actually playing it. So we have d6, c3, h3, all is main, and we have the rare continuation of bishop e6. This is not often played by black. Obviously Iragasi is in his preparation. This is what he prepared against Vei, and Iragasi seems like to have a very individual preparation against each of his opponents, because he's switching the lines so often. Maybe some of you remember his preparation against Liko. He played e4, c5 in classical chess. Some risky line Actually, it was a fast draw. Now we have bishop e6, which is again not the main line of the Spanish. And let's see. Again, we know the result. It's a short draw, so very interesting. d4. VE been thinking here for 20 minutes, so Iragasi managed to surprise VE. He goes with a move d4. Obviously, d4 should be the very main. Bishop takes b3 and the move h6. So Iragasi still in his opening preparation. Very interesting to play h6 because the idea of h6 is not that obvious. Maybe black wants to play in the future the move rook e8 and is just defending from the move knight to g5. Could this be the idea of a move h6? Quite unclear. a4, normal play, very, very normal play. The main idea of black remains to play d5 in a good moment. Now we have queen d7. Iragasi is still in his preparation. Amazing. White is taking on b5, taking on e8, and is winning the pawn on b5. It's not enough. It's not enough to win the game because of the knight takes d4. Iragasi is still blitzing the moves. Unbelievable preparation by Iragasi. Knight takes, take, and c takes d4. Pawn up for white. Bishop f6. Very, very strong move. Pawn on d4 is under attack, and how to defend the pawn on d4? There is basically only the move bishop e3, because what else can white do here? To play something like d5 is not really an option. Let's say knight c5, there is a threat of playing knight to d3. Next e4 is under attack as well. Rook a1, so only black might be better here. That's why we see the move bishop e3. Rook b8. b2 pawn is under attack and b2 pawn is falling. There is no way to defend the b2 pawn. We have knight to d2 with basically a draw offer. So very, very easy draw for Iragasi. 1:33 on the clock. Again, fantastic preparation by the Indian top player. Instead of knight to e2, maybe rook e2, but it does not help much. I think black has easy option of, for example, playing the move rook to b4. d4 is under attack. There is no way to defend the pawn on d4. So yeah, it looks like white is gonna just lose the pawn, and VE decides to make a draw. Knight to d2. So we have b2 pawn is being eaten away, and yeah, rook c1 attacking the pawn on c7, but all that is just a draw. So bishop takes d4, take, and both players agree to a draw. Okay, very easy draw for Iragasi. 1:34 on the clock, so he finishes the game with more time than started. Very nice, very nice. Next game, Iragasi white. I guess he will try to push against VE. In the classical game, VE is very, very strong and rapid and blitz, so I think Iragasi will try to check at least what is possible to be done with the white pieces in the classical game. It will be an exciting game tomorrow. Next we have Shankland and Yesipenko. I think Shankland as well, winning 2 matches against Rapport in rapid chess. To me, it was a big surprise. Shankland beating Rapport, because Rapport is just a very, very good player in rapid and blitz chess, and Shankland winning quite easily. And as well, the last match against Dubov, he managed to beat Dubov as well in rapid chess. Huge play by Shankland. Now, what do we have here? We have here, I would say, approximately an equal position. Rook on b5 is attacking the pawn on g5. Now we have an exchange in the center. So, for example, e takes d4 can be taken, or maybe even the move queen g4. Can white do something dangerous to the black king? Well, eventually the move queen g4 or the move queen h5 has to be calculated. Not sure if black is doing fine here. We will see during the next couple of moves. It looks a bit dangerous for black. And this move c takes d4. So just 4 minutes spent for Yesipenko before taking on d4 and giving this opportunity of playing queen h5 or queen g4. I guess the idea of black is to defend with the move rook a5. So rook is joining the game. It should be equal, in my opinion. It should be equal. Still, it has to be calculated, so now Shankland can spend some time, because maybe he has some chances to put a pressure. In case not, the game is just going to end in a draw. So let's see what Shankland is going to do next. Just to check from move 1, we have c4, e6, knight f3, d5, d4, knight f6. So we have classical Queen's Gambit. And Yesipenko is changing to Ragozin setup as a move, bishop on b4, e3, h6, all is theory. So we have the line with queen a4. This is a line where white is trying to get little advantage because the knight on c6 is not perfectly placed. Black should usually put the pawn on c6 in case possible. Obviously, this is the idea of this queen a4 check. So all is still theory here. Knight f4, nice pressure on d5. Black just took on c3 and played the move knight to e7. So the main idea is to play c6 next. And knight e7 is a little tactical move. White can take on c7, but of course it does not work. So we have the move bishop d3 played. In case of rook takes c7, I think there is just knight c6 back, and queen d6 is the next move for black. The rook is trapped on c7. So knight e7, very nice, bishop d3, c6, and objectively speaking, I think we can say that the position is pretty equal. Short castle, knight f5, interesting way of playing this position. Knight f5, knight to d6. There's another simple way of playing this position. It is just to play bishop f5. Usually it's good for black to change the bishop seat versus the bishop d3. To me, these positions are very close to be equal. We have knight f5 been played first. Rook c1, knight d6, still bishop f5 probably to come next. Yes, we have the move bishop f5 been played. White has to play bishop f1 back, because in case white is gonna change the bishops, it's completely equal. So bishop f1 with theoretical idea of playing b4, a4 and b5 next. Still very hard to manage. g5, aggressive play by Yesipenko. On the other hand, yeah, it's quite normal for these positions because everything is closed, so it's not that dangerous to weaken the king's position on g8. So g5 is a normal approach. As well, I believe black can play simple move as a5. So personally, I like moves like a5. We stopped the idea of a3 before, because now it's not so strong anymore. In this position, b4 is looking a bit dangerous, but after the move a5, now to play a3. So first of all, there is move like a4, it needs to be calculated. And in case white is gonna manage even to play the move b4, then the black is getting this idea of taking on b4, so the rook from a8 is getting into the game. And as well, there's an idea of playing b5 followed by knight c4 in a good moment when we can defend the pawn on c6. So I personally think these positions are pretty equal, at least to my understanding. We have g5 been played in the game, knight to d3 and king on g7. I think that as well here black can just take on d3. I don't think this position is so bad of a white in my understanding. So again, maybe somebody else thinks different, but I believe that this is perfectly fine just to take on d3. And then we're gonna play rook e8 followed by a rook e7 and maybe eventually the other rook on e8. So we put some pressure on the e file. Usually in these structures, the main idea for white is to play f3 followed by e4, which is hard to get, very, very hard to get. So I believe approximately an equal position. King on g7, knight c5. So here we need to think with the black pieces what actually to do next as well. You can think a little bit about it, because not an easy positional decision has to be taken. Where to play next for black? It would be good to change the knights. So eventually we have the idea of playing just knight to e4. What else can be done by black? We have still the move a5, which is normal. We have the idea of maybe playing rook e8, rook e7, which as well is looking normal. But we have h5 been played by Yesipenko. So interesting move h5. a4 because the pawn cannot be taken, I guess, because of the move g4, and black will trap the queen on h5. There's rook h8 coming next. It looks dangerous for white. Maybe there is a way to escape for the queen to play like f4 with the idea queen g5, but all of that is looking a bit strange as well. Without g4, black might try to play rook h8 immediately with a strong attack on the h file. So to take h5 is usually very, very dangerous for white. Shankland is not doing it, and we have the move a4 being played. h4, normal. h3 also normal because black might want to play h3 next. So we have the move h3 and a5. Yeah. So finally we see the move a5. Black should not let white to push the pawn to a5. That would make the structure a little bit stuck, and in case white would want to play, white would be able to play the move a5. There is a6, which almost is a must for black, and then we have this b6 square, which is weak, so white knight might go knight a4, followed by knight to b6. Okay, so a5, b4 by Shankland as well. This is pretty typical. Take and rook to b3, so some pressure on the b file. Still, I guess the position should be approximately equal. b6 played by Yesipenko. Interesting. So we're going into something very dynamic. c6 pawn is under attack. Now black is taking and playing the move knight e4, attacking the pawn on f2. So white has to take. Yeah, all is forced, and we have the move c5 because b6 is hanging. Rook to b5, cd. Yes, Yesipenko, he calculated this from far away. White takes, so Shankland decides there is nothing to try with queen g4 or queen h5 because of the move rook a5. Just takes on d4, queen f4. Interesting. Queen f4, so Yesipenko is not taking the pawn on d4. I guess it should be as well enough to make a draw because take. Rook takes g5, queen takes, and queen takes d4, but the rook is currently under attack on c1, so maybe we have to just go back with a king, like king g8. Can white try to get to be better here? Maybe, in case the rook, something like rook b1 followed by rook to b5, so we have to transport the rook towards the black king because the black king is a little bit open. Still, I believe this position should be close to a draw, so hard to imagine that white actually is doing much better. Maybe a little better. That's why we have the move queen f4 been made. Queen takes a nice position on f4, attacking the rook on c1 as well. The move e3 somewhere is an option. For white now, rook is under attack. I don't know actually what white should do here because e3 looks like quite a dangerous threat, so for white maybe something like a rook c3 to avoid this e3 move. And after the move rook to c3, let's see what happens. Theoretically, white might be doing a little better because of the weak king on g7. I think still it should be very, very near to draw. Black has options like rook c8, trying to make some pressure on the c file because c1 square. Queen f4 is nicely placed. So still, I believe it should be very, very close to equal. All right, and here we go to the last pairing, and it is between Yakuboyev and Donchenko. Yakuboyev winning his matches, but not that convincingly actually. On the other hand, Donchenko had yesterday a huge match with Le Kong Liem. It was so interesting to watch in this match. The black color have been dominating absolutely because both players have been winning the games with a black color. And the final game, Donchenko won with a white color. So very, very interesting match, which been decided in a blitz game. Very high level also. Donchenko playing just a huge tournament. And Yakuboyev... I think quite surprising that Yakuboyev is doing so well because usually he's not doing great against top players of the world. He's quite strong in beating a little bit lower rated players. But somehow, yeah, World Cup is going well for the player from Uzbekistan. And the current position, what do we see here? It looks much better for Yakuboyev. Much, much better. First of all, pawn up. king on c2 is pretty safe. Black's development seems to be horrible. Maybe white is just winning, so would be a huge point for Yakuboyev. Let's see what happened. d4, knight f6, c4, g6. So Donchenko with a king's Indian, but actually he plays the Grunfeld. That's why he starts with a move g6. f3. So we have the anti-Grunfeld and c5. So interesting. He's not going for the d5. He's going for c5, d5, and now we have this kind of king's Indian Zemis structures. Knight e2, a very fashionable move. Of course, the main knight c3. So knight e2, e6. All is theory, and this knight e c3. E takes d5, c takes d5. The idea of this strange maneuver, knight e2, knight to c3, is to play against the usual play of black, which is connected to the move a6, followed by the move b5. Now the idea of white is to play a4, followed by knight a3, so there will be no more b5. This is the difference by having the knight b takes c3 and knight e takes c3. So this is the main idea of white. a6, a4, yeah, here it goes, and knight h5. So very risky line, knight to h5. It is one of the main moves, but it is a very, very risky line for black. Queen e2 is the main, and bishop d4. I am surprised that Donchenko is going for this line, because I think it's just bad. Yeah, g4 and queen h4 check, king d1, all a theory. Knight f6 back. Before playing actually bishop d4, Donchenko thought for a long time. It seems like Donchenko is not familiar with this line, which is strange, because it's been quite often played, so little strange. Knight f6, knight to g3 been played in a couple of games, but after ag, queen takes h1. It's a very weird position, but white has excellent results here, so in my opinion, this position is better for white, at least to what I know. And actually, almost no one is trying that with black, because it looks like just to be too dangerous. The idea of white is to be very fast with the moves like knight a3, knight c4, making pressure on the pawn on d6. Then king eventually gets to c2, so white has a nice development. Queen is on h1, very bad position for the black queen. Yes, there are ways to freeze a queen, for example, by playing h5, etc. But still, we are in a theoretical position, so I think it's just better for white, and according to the main line theories, it is better for white. So, or you know something special with black, or you have prepared something special, or you better not go for it. So, strange opening choice by Donchenko. Now we have the move knight f6 back, but this is just worse. Yeah, king c2, queen on h4, not perfectly positioned, knight d7. This is looking bad. Just take a look at the maneuver of the black knight. Knight f6, knight h5, knight f6 back, knight d7. This is looking bad. So bishop f4, pretty normal as well, I guess. Knight a6, knight a3 would be normal. Bishop f4, queen f6, bishop e3 back. This is a little strange. Bishop e3 back. I don't know why to play bishop f4 followed by bishop e3. So why not to play like bishop e3 instantly? Okay, little strange. To me, move like knight d2 or knight a3 first is looking more logical. So I have queen f6, bishop e3 back. Still, white is doing obviously better. Knight on d2, very, very nice. Defending the pawn on f3, queen h4 back. What is happening in this game? Wow, I don't understand the moves, especially by Donchenko. Maybe he was scared of like g5, f4, but to go just back, queen h4, all your pieces are at the starting position. So in case I would be black here, I would think, all right, I have to do something, I'm gonna lose the game. Queen h4, bishop f4 back. Wow, and h5. Also, Yakuboyev thinking 9 minutes before playing the move bishop f4. Very strange game. It is just a very, very strange game. Actually, what would happen in case black would just go back, queen f6, Maybe now Yakuboyev wanted to play bishop in g3, because I cannot imagine that white wants to repeat the moves. This is like probably not. So bishop g3, or maybe just to take on e5 and then knight c4. Donchenko with a move h5. Here we go, bishop g3, queen e7, take, and h4. Yeah, so let's take a look at this position. We have equal material, and by the way, I said last time white is pawn up. I think, yeah, I don't know why I said that. Of course the pawns are equal. White should be doing much better in my opinion, because I cannot imagine that this kind of development will be not punished. So rook a7 by Donchenko. What is that? The rook is so badly placed on a7. Very strange game by Donchenko. I think maybe he's just tired or overexcited. Eventually he could not sleep the previous night because he was so happy that he won his match against Le Conglien, because Donchenko played so well during the World Cup, and now we have this very weird moves by Donchenko. I think black's position is in trouble. We are currently move 20, and just 20 minutes for Yakuboyev, 18 minutes for Donchenko, so most probably we are going to see huge time trouble, but it's gonna be a bad time trouble for black, because it looks like to be a very bad position. White has to get ready for the move f4. Probably Yakuboyev is thinking, how should I play the move f4? Now, in case of f4, there is some bishop g4, which has to be calculated. Queen might go to g2 probably. So knight is under attack. Is there some tactic? Maybe, because we have something like bishop takes c3, for example, b takes c3, and now we have this knight f3 move. So queen takes e4 is available in case white is taking on f3. Still, even this position is looking better for white, because I guess I can just play bishop d3, take. Maybe I should keep the queens on the board, but let's say I play something simple like check. Where to go with a bad black king? d7, or no idea, but also this is looking bad. Take, or queen g1, also with attacking chances. I don't know. Maybe it's a fight, so white should not do it. White should have something better than that, but even that is looking dangerous. Also, by the way, f4, bishop g4, queen g2, bishop c3. Of course, there is an option of taking king c3. We see rarely a king on c3, but currently it's not so bad. I guess there is no more knight f3. So next move of white might be just e5 push. So if the knight goes back to d7, maybe just e5 immediately, or maybe first to play rook to e1 and prepare the e5 push. This is looking so dangerous for black. I think it's just a very bad position. I think that Donchenko is now in serious danger of losing his first game against Yakuboyev. Let's see. It's gonna be interesting time troubles. By the way, in case you have a question, please feel free to write something in the chat. I will be happy to answer your question. So don't be shy, there are no bad chess questions, and I'm checking the games without an engine. So I might make a lot of mistakes. I also ask you just to look at the game without an engine, because obviously with engine it's not the same. Engines are too strong, we'll lose the feeling for the position. Let's go back to the game of Sindarov and Martinez. The a-pawn been changed, so this is what we saw lately. Knight c7 move. After long thinking, 11 minutes, Sindarov plays the move f4. Now we have a5. Yes, this is a good move. Black continues changing everything, and b takes a5. So Sindarov finds nothing better. Take. Now it's white to play. I think it's gonna be a draw very soon, except white has something very tactical. But how to do tactical things here, b6 pawn theoretically can be a target, but not easy to target it. So for example, knight to b5 looks pretty normal because now bishop takes b6 is a threat. So what we do with the black pieces here, maybe we can just take it. For example, knight takes to defend the pawn on a3. And is there a way to stop the rook from d1 attacking the knight on c6? Let's see. So if I play bishop a6, it doesn't work because I think there is bishop takes b6. So black is not in time. The knight on d8 is under attack. What can we do with black to be fine here? Maybe just to play bishop d5, but it might be slightly worse, so not 100% sure. So probably something like rook a6 is looking very safe. At least I don't see what white can do here after rook a6. In case of knight to d6, we are just gonna take the pawn on a3, and I think it is a draw. White can try still a little bit with bishop b6, so we see that black is a bit squeezed, but bishop d5, objectively, it's just a draw in my opinion. So, can white hope here to get a pressure? I don't think so. I believe it's just equal because a3 pawn is too weak. Not enough pieces on the board, except you have something very, very direct, but I don't see what white can do here. I don't see a better move than knight to b5. And in case of knight to b5, in my opinion, it is just a draw. So maybe there is again something I don't see. So maybe there is something like knight to c2, defending the pawn on a3 and trying to get the pawn on b6. But usually moves like knight c2, yeah, they should not bring advantage. What black can do after the move knight to c2, I think maybe just a simple knight to d5. So we take, and bishop takes b6 probably. White wins a pawn, but is it enough to win the game? Because a3 pawn should be targeted next by black. I believe maybe even simple move as rook a4 should give quite decent chances to black to make a draw. f4 is under attack. If the knight gets out onto c6, I'm pretty sure it is a draw. Maybe white can push a little bit somehow here, but also this is looking like very, very close to draw. So black has this option of bishop b3 somewhere, taking the knight on c2. It's difficult for white to gain advantage, except again, there is something forced. So for example, maybe moves like bishop b5 could be evaluated. So rook takes f4 and just to push the pawn to a4, but as well here it's difficult to say if this is enough pressure for white to win the game. Yes, there is some little pressure, but is it enough? Not sure. After the move knight to c2, let's see if we have something better with a black piece than knight to d5. There might be something straight to equalize the game. Maybe just knight to c6. So in case of bishop takes b6, we have this bishop c5 move. Now white has to change, and the knight on c3 is under attack. Is there a good square to go with the knight? No, there is not. So rook to d3 has to be played, and we have at least bishop a6. Yes, knight c6 is looking very strong. After the move knight to c2, just knight c6 with the idea of bishop c5, and that's it. So difficult, very difficult to find advantage for Sindarov. So most probably we are going to see a draw. In the first game, Sindarov against Martinez, Alcantara, and as well Sindarov now with 15 minutes and 18 for Martinez. Not so long ago, Sindarov had 20-30 minutes more on the clock. The dynamic is shifting. Most probably it is just going to be a draw. Shankland against Yesipenko. Let's go. Lately we saw this move queen f4 been played, and indeed we have the move rook c3 on the board. Okay, this is making sense. Rook d6. So Yesipenko decides not to change the rooks, but why not? This is strange because it feels so right for black to aim for exchanges. We have the move rook to d6. Maybe Yesipenko saw that he might be able to play for a win, and we have the move g3 played by Shankland. Very strong move, actually. I think Yesipenko has missed the idea of g3. Take. Now we're gonna have maybe even to take with the rook is possible, so both is possible. So I don't know, little risky play by Yesipenko in my opinion. Maybe even to take with a rook is not so bad, because we wanted to get to the g5 pawn. There's rook g6 coming, and maybe we can try, first of all, we have ideas of rook g4, queen b1, winning the e4 pawn somewhere. Maybe just d5 is also looking decent. Not so easy. It's not so easy suddenly for black to equalize. Maybe it is still equal, but it's a fight. Not so simple. But as well, the move f takes g3 is not looking bad. Queen f6. So now there's queen takes d4 with a check. And there is a way for white to avoid that, or just a draw, because of course it would be great for white to get this queen g4 next. I don't know. I don't know if there's a way for white to avoid queen takes d4 next. Maybe there is not, so it is a draw. So maybe we will see in the game the move rook takes g3. Okay, some slight pressure by Shankland. Maybe it's not enough to win the game for white, but it is a pressure. So Shankland is playing for a win. Alright, still no comments in the chat. So again, don't be shy, write whatever you want to ask. Maybe you have some question about some position that you're not sure of. Please write your comment in the chat. We have Yakuboyev, Donchenko, so let's see what did actually happen here. We saw the position after h4, rook a7, a5, alright, normal play by Yakuboyev. In my opinion, he could have aimed for something like more force with f4, but a5 just to block the rook on a7, b5, which frees the rook, rook b7, followed by rook takes b6 as the idea of Donchenko next. Still, this position is looking horrible for black. So many good options for white, so sometimes it is a problem when you have like one good decision, you just play it and that's it. But here with white you have so many nice moves to be considered. So Yakuboyev is thinking, should I play this or should I play this? Maybe he's searching for the most safe decision, but actually just 13 minutes on the clock, so he should not get into time trouble in this kind of situation. Usually try to play just something, because who knows, you might think for a long time, you might think that you found the best, but then actually it's not the best, so it's better to keep some time on the clock. White can, I think, just take and play knight c4 to protect the pawn on b6. This is looking very good. As well, the preparation or just trade the move f4 is looking very good. I think still black is in very serious trouble here. But already the move a5 is not my favorite, because white to do that, yes, it is a good move, nothing wrong with it, but white to theoretically give black some chances by rook takes b6. So after rook a7, or let's say by playing rook a7, I think Donchenko shows that he's doing very, very bad, and he has no direct play. So why not to play some safe move, like for example bishop g2, maybe again f4 is just winning the game, but just bishop g2 preparation for the play f4, and after f4 we're gonna push e5, rook e1, etc. So to play against the king on e8 seems to be a good idea for white. Why not to do that? Little strange. Quite surprising. And this is quite surprising that Yakuboyev is choosing to play the move a5, even though it's not a bad move, but from practical point of view, a little strange. And after rook b7, he's continuing thinking. Just 11 minutes for Yakuboyev. The time is running out. He has to play something. 11 minutes for 18 moves, so every minute Yakuboyev is thinking more. Donchenko is getting the feeling that he has actually a chance. Imagine now Yakuboyev with 40 minutes on the clock. Donchenko would think, okay, the game is done, because my opponent has enough time to convert the advantage. But now with 10 minutes, everything is possible. Just one miscalculation and suddenly, yeah, black might be back into the game. So a bit unpractical play by Yakuboyev. But let's see what white is going to play next. I guess it should be connected with a move f4 or just take straight on e5 and knight to c4 because why not? b6 pawn is protected, knight d7 never works because there is rook takes a6, so it should be enough to obtain a very big advantage. Still, Yakuboyev is pushing on Donchenko, but the time is getting low, so we might see very interesting time travel. Martinez Sindarov, we have the move actually, knight c2 been played and king e8 played very fast by Martinez, so we don't see the move knight c6. I thought knight c6 should be good enough, but we have king e8, now a4, bishop c5, all is pretty normal. Still, I believe it's just an equal position. If knight c6 or king e8, both is solid, so black manages to do what black wanted, to change the bishop. Then we're gonna change eventually the knight with a move knight to d5, and it's gonna be a draw. 13 minutes for Sindarov, and we have 15 minutes for Martinez. Yes, I believe we are going to see a draw. I don't see how white should try here to win the game. Doesn't look like white has a chance, except there's gonna be some blunder or something like that. But let's say that Martinez is going to continue playing safe and solid. Should be a draw. Yeah, I think we should see a draw. Bishop b5 check. All right. So what happens in case black just takes? Knight takes b5. What is the idea of Sindarov? I don't know. I don't know what is the idea of Sindarov, because I think it's just completely equal. So what happens if we take on b5? Little bit strange play. Maybe the idea is bishop takes c5 and knight takes c3, and we have this rook takes d8, but this is just a draw. So massive exchanges, and that's it. Yes, we have knight takes b5 played, a takes b5 played by Sindarov, but yeah, it's very difficult to win this position. I think it's not possible. He tries to keep the knight on b8 out of play, but there is always moves like f6, so not very realistic to win this position. Yeah, it should be just a draw. Let's go to Shankland and Yesipenko. Let's see what happened here. We have the move rook takes g3, f6. Well, not rook to g6, because I would anticipate move like rook g6 to have a safe king on g7. Instead, we have the move f6. Well, very dangerous play by black, but maybe it works. f6. If there is no direct push on the black king, yeah, that might be not a bad idea. But in case somehow the queen gets to the c file, yeah, just imagine somewhere queen c7 and the game is done. So dangerous, very dangerous what Yesipenko is doing. Shankland plays the move rook g4, so finds nothing better, and queen to f3. Of course, black is aiming for the exchange of queens. So after changing the queens, it should be a draw. Queen c1. Shankland is not changing queens, which is very logical, because there is rook takes g5 coming now with a move queen takes g5 next. So in my opinion, f6 just so dangerous play by Yesipenko. I don't know why he did it, because in this position, why not to play just rook to g6, and most probably black should hold here. Yes, slightly worse, I agree, but black should be able to hold. White to risk so much with a move f6, and now queen c1, so g5 is under attack. There's as well queen c7, e3 played by Yesipenko. Wow. Amazing. So Yesipenko is on the limit. Shankland is very close to get a full point, because one miscalculation by black and that's it. So e3, nice move probably by Yesipenko, because there is nothing better. g5 is hanging, queen c7 as well, deadly threat. So we have the move e3 being played. Now white has to think, is there a way to play queen c7 check? Probably king h6 or king h8, I'm not sure, but let's say king h6. And can we take the rook actually? Because in case of take we have this king f1. Not so easy everything, but probably it should be good for white. So queen takes, king h1. Is there perpetual check? But I don't see a perpetual check. So probably something like e2 should be played. What a position. What a position. Probably it's okay for black, yeah. I don't see how to win that with white. So black is holding. Black is currently holding after the move queen c7. What else can be tried by white? What can we try? We might be able to try maybe check and now something like rook takes g5, for example. Because now after queen takes f2, king h1, it is getting very tricky. White wants to mate black by playing queen takes g7, and in case of fg there's queen takes d6 check. But then we have this move king h5, so it's a crazy position. King h5. Now black wants to give perpetual check. And can white do something against it? I don't know. Too many options here. Maybe there's a chance something like queen d5, attacking the pawn on g5 as well. We cover the diagonal, so probably no perpetual check after the move queen d5, for example. So we have one check, we have to go here, we have the other check, we have to go here, then coming the third check, and we go king g1, so white is escaping. On the other hand, there is no threat, so white wants to do nothing, so black can move just somewhere. And probably black is doing better, so maybe it's still equal. It might be still equal, but it's on the limit. It's really on the limit. Yesipenko is a bit lucky that this move rook takes g5 as well is not looking winning, yeah, because take. Now we give a check on c7, and actually I thought, maybe I thought wrong actually. Yeah, it's interesting try. So we have king h8. Now to take on d6. Hard to say again if this is a win or this is a draw, but black is able maybe to take, and now for example take on h3. So rook g2 is forced, but probably it should be equal, yeah. Doesn't look like white is winning here. No, not enough threats, yeah. Should be a draw, let's see what Shankland is going to play next. It might be just a draw, or maybe Shankland is able to take like f takes e3, but then we have this queen takes h3 somewhere. Interesting position. In case, of course, queen takes e3, this is just a draw, so black is gonna win back the pawn on a4. There is some move like h4, but this should be not enough to win the game. Most probably it is a draw. Interesting position after the move e3. 16 minutes for Shankland, 15 minutes for Yesipenko. So exciting moment. We're move 35. So Shankland can think for a long time still, not be in danger to lose on time. Let's go back to Yakuboyev Donchenko. So we have indeed bishop takes e5 played. Yes, this is what we thought as possible for white to do. Just a simple knight c4, defending the pawn on b6. Pretty normal play. Black is doing still very bad. 10 minutes for Yakuboyev, 10 minutes for Donchenko. Donchenko has to play something, because to be low on time and to be very bad in position is definitely leading to a 0, so better to have bad position but more time, or at least there is some hope in somewhere. Probably we are going to see that the bishop moves, I don't know where, maybe g7, but all of that of course is looking still very bad. Knight b8 cannot move because of rook takes a6, the bishop from c8, well, maybe something like bishop d7, bishop b5, but also that is looking bad. So I don't know. I don't know what Donchenko is hoping for here. Position looks just horrible. It looks to be completely lost for black. I don't see big hopes. I just don't see big hopes for Donchenko. Next we have Sindarov and Martinez, and indeed we have the move f6 played after 6 minutes of thinking by Martinez. Yes, we've been anticipating something like f6 because the knight is getting into the game. Knight f7 next, and it should be just equal. Strong bishop on b7. I don't see how white can play here for advantage. I still think draw should be the normal outcome of the current game. Not much action here. f6, good and solid play by Martinez. Alcantara, who plays again a very nice game with black, seems to be able to hold against Sindarov. Yesipenko and Shankland, yes, we have queen takes e3 been played, but this is just a draw. So Shankland found no way to put pressure on Yesipenko after this e3 push. He takes, and he hopes after h4 to get slightly better rook endgame, but obviously it's not enough. Not even close to be enough. Black has several ways to continue here. I believe even to be active, like rook c6, and then the checks are starting, so even that should be enough to hold to a draw. Maybe there's just a static draw. Let's say we play rook a5, white takes, white has to take on g5 and to play f5. This should be also enough to make a draw. I see zero chances for white to win this position, so maybe to play rook a5 is actually the safest way for black, but as well black can play rook e6. I mean, basically any move makes a draw here for black. Yesipenko, 15 minutes on the clock. He is gonna find the right choice. White is again not even doing better, so it's a draw. This is just a draw. Donchenko, Yakuboyev, let's go back. Donchenko is still thinking. Under 8 minutes for the last 16 moves. Donchenko is in trouble. Donchenko is in serious trouble. He has to play something so difficult to give advice what to play for black. Very difficult to make a move. Actually, I have no idea. Maybe something like king b8, king f8 just to be safe, but yeah, it looks all horrible. To take a pawn, rook h4, for example, rook takes h4, queen takes h4. White might be able just to take on e5, and now take a look at this structure. This is looking like a disaster for black. White has many nice options. I think knight a4 is looking good. Just defending the pawn on b6, attacking the pawn on c5. In case of knight d7, I believe there is just queen takes a6. The check on f2 is not that dangerous. We can always go bishop e2. This is looking very, very bad. Seems unholdable, so it's not a solution for black to take on h4. On the other hand, I don't know what to do for Donchenko. It looks just lost. Let's go quickly back to the game of Sindarov and Martinez. After f6, Sindarov is still thinking. Yeah, so seems like Sindarov sees no chances to win the game. Most probably we will see just a draw. And Yesipenko Shankland, after h4, Yesipenko is still thinking. I guess he considers rook a5, maybe something like rook c6, but personally I would go rook a5 because it just looks so safe. Rook a5, for example, take, and white has to take on g5. Now we might be able even to consider moves like a4, but of course to win with black, I don't think it's possible. So black can play f5, black can play f takes g5, little trap, rook g6. And the white king is not in time to hold the a pawn. Obviously white is not gonna take on g5, so there is like king f2. But yeah, a little trap. So looks like a draw. It looks like a draw to me. Rook a5 seems like a very safe way to make a draw with black, but again, black is not under pressure here, so Just a draw. Yakoboyev, Donchenko, so yes, we have some moves been made. Finally, Donchenko decided to take on h4, right? He finds nothing better, and we have the move Queen e3 been made. Trying to attack the pawn on c5, giving away the pawn on b6, but there is queen take c5 coming next. No, b4 is the idea of Yakoboyev. Very nice play. Yeah, this is a beautiful play before. Very, very nice, because in case of queen c5, there is queen d8, and suddenly it's, of course, much better for white, but not that simple. Knight d7 at least. Black is getting out a little bit. Instead, we have this b4 move. Very beautiful. Because after rook takes b4, there is queen c5, and now the rook on b4 is hanging as well as the bishop on c8, so it's game over on the spot. So queen e3, nice idea. Clearly better than knight a4. And knight a4, I guess, should be enough, but queen e3 with the idea of b4 is finishing the game. B takes c4, c5 is the threat, after which black can resign. In case of rook takes b4, queen c5, and black resigns again. I think Donchenko is not even going to play on. I think he will just resign now. In my opinion, yeah, that's it. That's it. Yakoboyev seems to win the game number 1, and Donchenko will have to come back tomorrow. So in his match against Le Congliem, both of the players fought very well in the second game. So they managed each time this comeback. Let's see if Donchenko can do it tomorrow. For sure, not an easy task, but it's very possible. Donchenko plays an excellent tournament, but the current game, I guess, is just done. So here is just over. c5 is going to get lost. Yeah, there is bc coming, then c6, bishop c8, knight b8. Out of the game. The rook might be able to go to f6, but it doesn't help very much. So let's say the rook f6, just bc. f3 pawn can be easily defended by bishop e2 next. There is c6 coming next. That's it, yeah. Complete game over here. Zero chances for Donchenko after the move b4. Yeah, beautiful finish. Very nice play by Yakoboyev. Let's go back to Sindarov Martinez. We have f6, so white took on f6, white took on c5, played king f2, and knight f7, followed by probably king e7 and knight to d6. So this is a draw. Here we have no major changes. Even white should be a little careful, because if white continues playing, like, if white continues trying to make the things complex, maybe soon black is going to be a little better. So in case of Sindarov, I would just force a draw with white, and that's it. Who knows? Who knows if Sindarov is still hoping to put some trouble to Martinez, Alcantara, but I don't see how. 7 minutes for the last 12 moves. Black's play is so simple. King e7, knight d6. What white actually can do, because theoretically, in a long run, black will be better with the bishop on b7. And monster bishop b5. Just imagine black is in time to play king e7, knight d6, b5. Pawn is gonna be weak. In case of something like knight to e3, there is always rook a3, quite unpleasant. Knight is under attack, and white for sure should avoid that the rook gets to the second ring. So white, I don't know how to defend the knight on c3 already. Maybe something like rook c1, but there is knight d6. And out of nowhere, white has to be precise to make a draw now. So I think Sindarov should be careful not to get worse with white. Rook a1, yeah. So he tries to fix a draw by changing the rooks. Absolutely correct decision in my opinion. And yes, seems to be game over, like completely game over. So most probably a couple of more moves and both players will agree to a draw. Nice defense by Martinez Alcantara. Very nice defense in slightly worse endgame. Yesipenko against Shankland. Yes, we have the move rook a5 in played and rook b3. So yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you do with both colors here. It's just a draw. So yeah, let's go to the last game. Yakuboyev against Donchenko. Donchenko is still thinking, what should I do after the move b4? But I don't think there's possible to do something. So b takes c5 is just the next move of white. It looks to be a hopeless position. Yes, seems to be game over. This is just a game over. So Sindarov Martinez, maybe some action here, but as well here I don't see what should be happening here. How to defend the pawn on c5. The easiest way is probably just to go king d7, knight to b3, and just to go king d6. So very safe way to defend the pawn on c5. There is as well c4 in case it's needed. Moves like knight a5, not very dangerous because of course we can move the bishop, but as well king c7 is looking nice. And maybe there is something like knight a5, but I think it's not a play for a win. White should not risk so much. Of course it's still a draw, but I don't know. In case of white, doesn't feel like white wants to win, so king d7, king d6 looks very solid. Maybe there is something better to play, like c4 instantly, because the knight has to go over c2 back into the game, and then to play king d7, knight d6 also. This is looking like complete draw, yeah. So maybe c4 actually is the easiest way. So for example, knight to c2, we get closer, knight to e3, we get knight d6, with the idea of playing king c7, king b6 next. Knight to g4, some chances, but yeah, hard to imagine again that white is capable of putting enough pressure here. Even knight g4, again, black should have several solutions, I believe, in this position, but let's see what happens after f5. Knight takes h6, and maybe black is capable of catching the knight on h6, because knight e4 as well is looking very interesting. The pawn will run, but first to play king e7, just not to let the knight out of h6, and then still we have the idea of playing knight e4 next. I don't know. Looks like still to be just a draw. So many options here for black to make a draw. Maybe there is something better, but I think c4 should be enough to make a draw. Looks pretty solid. Yesipenko Shankland, yes, draw agreed after the move rook to b3. So as expected. All in all, quite an interesting game. I think white tried to put some pressure, but maybe it was just not enough. So good defense by Yesipenko. And Yakuboyev against Donchenko. Donchenko plays on, so he still hopes for something, but quite unclear what he's hoping for. 2 minutes for Donchenko and 10 minutes for Yakuboyev. There is c6 coming next. 0 threats to the white king on c2. I don't see what Donchenko is hoping for here. It looks to be just game over. Personally, I like the move c6 because where the black knight is gonna go, I don't know. I think it just game over. So maybe with white actually it's possible to play first a move like bishop e2 just for fun to defend everything, but why not to play c6 immediately and to finish the game on the spot. c6, by the way, is played. Yeah, makes perfect sense. Now Yakuboyev has to double check the move queen c5. Does it finish the game on the spot? As well, there are moves like rook to b1. I think also is just game over. There is a move d6, which is also game over. So a lot of different moves to choose from. Position of black is lost. Only blunder can save Donchenko here. If Yakoboyev is going to blunder nothing, that's it. That's it, the game is done. I guess he's calculating what actually Donchenko planned to do after queen c5. Hard to see. Let's say there's a check, and now we go bishop e2. So there's a rook c4. This is probably the idea of Donchenko. Little trap. So after queen b6, there is this queen e2. So this is a trap. And this is a trap that white should avoid. Still, it might be winning actually because king b3. And yeah. But okay, to go for it with white, white should not go for it. Yeah. Queen d3 actually quite strong, yeah. Because rook c1 is now losing due to this queen to b1. Maybe queen a5 is an option, and here no idea, but it doesn't look so easy, so white should not do that. Queen c5 eventually is too risky because of the move queen f2 bishop e2 and this nice move rook c4. So Donchenko is hoping for this. Obviously queen c5 is not gonna happen because Yakoboyev has enough time to discover this kind of trick. White will play bishop e2 eventually, some calm move, or maybe there is something like d6 which might just finish the game because d7 is a deadly threat. So let's see what Yakoboyev is going to do next. Personally, I like the move bishop e2 very much because it feels so safe. There are no threats, no nothing. Bishop on c8 is out of the game, so bishop e2 is looking just to be enough to win the game. Let's go to Martinez and Sindarov. What did happen here? So take bishop d5 been played by Martinez. Interesting approach because very direct approach. Personally, I don't think I would play the move bishop d5 because I don't know, you give a chance for f5 somewhere. So knight c2 in case white would take on d5 and play knight to b3. There is now c4. So knight, I don't know where to go, where to put the knight. Let's say we'll put the knight on d4 and simple king d7. So yes, we have a dangerous free pawn, but it takes white too much time to make a free pawn on the king side. So this g4 h4 is taking too much time. The black king is getting to c5, and then actually c4 d5 pawns are getting dangerous. That's why we have the move knight c2 been played, knight to d6, knight to e3. In theory, white eventually wants now to take on d5 because f6 pawn is hanging. So black has to decide, maybe just to go back on b7 is a simple solution to fix a draw. Is there something better for black? I think also knight e4 is not looking like, but maybe then we have this trick with knight to g4. So yes, it's better to be avoided, even though not 100% sure. So let's see what Martinez is gonna play next. Maybe a move like, yeah, bishop b7. So he plays bishop b7. This is the most logical. Yeah, I would do the same. Knight on g4, for example, and I believe that black is capable of playing the move f5 to take on h6. It looks a bit too dangerous for white. King f8, the knight is trapped. g4, for example, king on g7, g5, but the knight is completely trapped, so only black has chances to win this position. I don't think white should go for it. So after bishop b7, knight g4, f5, white will have to put the knight on e5. But as well, this is still looking to be just a draw, so black maybe with something like king d8, king c7, king b6 is looking solid. Idea of white could be king g3, king h4, king h5, but it looks a bit artificial, to be honest. Don't think it's gonna work. Maybe h3, g4, trying to be a little better for white, but also that seems to give no real chances. So still I think it's just a draw. Yakuboyev, Donchenko, bishop e2, queen h2, played by Donchenko. 5 minutes for Yakuboyev for the last 9 moves. Queen c5, rook c4. Still we have this trap. White should not fall into the trap, and Yakuboyev is thinking if d6 is winning, if maybe to play something like rook b1 is possible, but maybe rook b1 is actually not possible now because of knight c4, and then we have this knight a3 move. So rook b1 should not be played. What White actually should do to win like to 100%? Let's think. Maybe queen g1? Could it be an easy win? Eventually, yes, but endgame d6 is a threat. So king e7 probably. So the black king gets to d6, but is it an easy win or is it a fighting win? Yeah. So Yakuboyev should decide if this is enough to win the game. For example, to go back like rook e1 and bishop a6 to play next. Is it enough to win the game easily? For sure it should be winning, but how easy is it to win the game? Because sometimes you might miss something and then it gets complicated. So d6, we have the move d6 been played. Yakuboyev thinks that d6 just wins the game because there is no defense against the pawn d7. On the other hand, Donchenko is gonna give a piece now and will try to play on. So black is gonna sacrifice a piece. Then we have this 3 pawns versus 2 pawns. Yes, it is a winning position for white, but still a little fight is going on here. Not completely over, because I thought it's just resignation, but Donchenko is fighting well. He does not like to resign. Good fighting spirit by the German. What we can do with a black piece is maybe rook d4 is actually the best, just to give this d7. So we're gonna take, maybe with a king, because this position to survive with just a piece down, for example, rook takes a6. It's lost. This is lost. To survive that, very little chances. I think there are almost 0 chances. So let's say king takes d7 with the idea of playing knight to c4 next, using the pin on the second rank. But as well here, I think king b3 looks very solid. No knight c4. Rook takes a6 is coming next. Can black get to the white king on b3? I don't see how. The queen is so far away from the action. To get the queen back takes a while. It looks lost. This is looking like a lost position. I don't see how to even try something here with black. Let's go back to Sindarov Martinez. So what do we have here? Bishop b7, knight g4, f5, knight to e5, king d8. Yes, as we expected, the black king gets to b6. For Sindarov, he has to do something on the king side. So or h3 followed by g4, trying to play g5, g6, but black is gonna take on g4, so should be a draw. Is there something else that Sindarov can try? Maybe he can try something tricky with knight a4 immediately, because in case of knight takes b5, knight c5, and eventually we have this knight f7, knight takes h6, and then g4, g5, but also is not looking like a very promising plan. So no knight a4, maybe b6, just to try. But after b6 there is knight c8, and not so easy to defend the pawn on b6, so now knight a4. So eventually this is an idea. Still should be a draw, but at least a little idea. So maybe the move b6 could be tried, like the last chance to do something. And for black, we maybe can try to play king to c8, so to get king to b7 eventually. Still should be a draw. Now in case of knight a4, there is always knight e4 check. So king c8 is looking decent. The next move of black might be or to play knight e4 and change the knights, or to play, for example, bishop d5 with the idea king b7. It should be as well enough to hold position to a draw. So probably still a draw. White is pushing a little bit, so Sindarov tries to be creative to push water out of stone, but Martinez is defending very well for the current moment. I guess it's gonna be a draw. Back to Yakoboyev against Donchenko. What do we have here? Yes, we have bishop e6, so not rook to d4, but changes nothing in my opinion. White is with a full piece up. Is there a hope for the German player? I don't see it. Queen on h2, also very poorly placed. White can simply take the pawn on a6, or white goes knight to d5. Looks like a game over. Yeah, Yakoboyev is gonna make it. I don't see any chance. I don't see chances for black. Rook takes a6. Yes, why not to take a pawn in case you can? It would be great for black to get the king over f8 back to g7, but even that is still a piece down, so no real chances. We are currently at move 35 as well. Yakoboyev has enough time, 3 minutes. There is no chance, no. There is no real chance of doing something for black. I see nothing. Sindarov against Martinez, knight to d3, provoking the move c4. Okay, and what is the idea of Sindarov after the move c4? I don't know. I think white has to do something against this king c7, king b6. So eventually there's knight c5 attacking the pawn on e6, but there's bishop d5, no? Looks to be completely okay for black, as well as king c7, so I think even black might sacrifice the pawn. Knight d6, very beautiful position. Now king a5, king b4 is coming next. Is it a play for a win for white? I don't think so. I believe as well this position should be just equal, so I think this is just equal. I don't see real chances for Sindarov. Back to Yakoboyev, Donchenko. What do we have here? We have indeed king f8, so Donchenko tries to escape to g7 with a king, a rook to d6, a rook to b7, white piece up, and trying to finish the game on the spot. Move 36, 4 moves to go, 4 minutes for Yakoboyev, so enough time. Question is, can white like win the game immediately? Looks like white should be capable, but strange move rook to d6, by the way. Strange move rook to d6, because white to do that, I believe white should be able to do something better than rook to d6, but okay, still completely winning, so it changes nothing here. White should get the knight into the game. So how do we get the knight into the game? By playing knight to d5 eventually. Looking nice. As well, white can try to get the queen into the game, because the bishop is currently protected. Queen to d2. Yes, knight is under attack. So where to go with the black knight from d7? In case of knight c5, there is simple rook d8 check, I think. King g7, and even queen d6 is looking nice, but there is knight to e6 defense, so it's not like completely over. Knight e6 actually attacking the rook on d8 and knight d4. So white should avoid that. We have the move queen d2 been made. Knight c5 with the idea of knight e6. What could be the winning continuation for Yakoboyev here? it is probably the move queen to d5. White attacks the knight on c5, and as well rook b7 is targeted. So yes, this looks like white is winning. Don't see a defense. I don't think there is one. Knight d2, queen d2. Nice move. Nice move by Yakoboyev. Donchenko is just 1 minute on the clock. He has to do something, but in any case, it is a lost position. Even if Donchenko would manage to get like king g7, knight f6, which is difficult to get, but as an example, in case he gets it, still the position of white is winning. So this position with a piece up is quite actually easily winning. This is not even a difficult win. It's quite an easy win. Sindarov against Martinez. Wow, we have the king, white king on c5. So Sindarov tries to win the game and he's sacrificing the pawn on g2. This is a little strange. So we have knight e5, king c7, king e3 been played. He sacrifices a pawn on g2. Why to do that was white? So risky. Bishop f1, holding the pawn, king c5, and Sindarov is offering a draw, yeah, because obviously this is not a play for a win, this is a play to lose the game. Probably it is still a draw, but I think Sindarov overpushed a little bit. So obviously there's knight b7 check, king has to go somewhere, and just knight d6 back, so it is a draw, but white to risk like that was white. Little bit risky play was white here, still a draw. So, a logical conclusion to the game. Sindarov, Martinez, both players played well. Sindarov tried to push for a win, and Martinez equalized with very safe and precise play. Actually, impressive play by Martinez Alcantara, because he was slightly worse all the game and defended so well, gave no real chances to Sindarov. Impressive defense by Martinez Alcantara, doing good strategical decisions, calculating well, playing safe. He seems to be in a great shape. Very strong play. And Yakoboyev Donchenko, the last moves before move 40. So we have here knight c5 still been played, yes, queen d5 and rook c7. Yakoboyev wants to finish the game before the 40th move, and he plays rook takes g6. Nice move because of fg, queen d8 check is coming, then queen c7 check, and queen takes c5. So 2 pieces down for Donchenko. I think it is the last move of the game. Rook g6, queen d8 is a deadly threat. Is there something that black can do here? I don't see it, so I think that's it. This is probably the last move of the game. Donchenko is going to resign. So in the quarterfinals, we will have 3 draws and Yakoboyev with a win. Seems like that's it. That's it for today. Tomorrow we can expect more action, especially in the game Donchenko-Yakoboyev. Donchenko has to win as well. Yesipenko white against Shankland. Yesipenko is going to push Iragasi. He is always pushing, so as well Iragasi is going to push. He doesn't really care against who he plays. VE is going to have a difficult game tomorrow. And we have Martinez with the white pieces against Sindarov. Here I think Martinez is probably thinking draw is enough against Sindarov, because Martinez is just so good in the rapid and blitz chess. So why not to make a short draw with white, rest a little bit and try to push against Sindarov in rapid chess. And then eventually in a blitz chess. Sindarov is good blitz and rapid player as well, but I think Martinez is showing, at least now during the World Cup, he's showing phenomenal play in rapid and blitz. So this is what I would do in case I would be Martinez. Tomorrow short draw, and then let's play some rapid. Here Donchenko continues the fight by playing the move knight to e6, and I guess Yakoboyev is a bit shocked that Donchenko does not resign. Simply rook g8, queen e7 is just a full piece up. No hopes at all for black. As well, White can play like any move, just rook g4, for example, just a full piece up. Yakuboyev is definitely surprised, or you play like queen b8 check, rook g8, just a rook to g8, so take. Again, we have a full piece up for white. Where are the hopes of Donchenko? I don't understand it. Maybe he just plays because, well, he feels sad to resign the game, but there's no more hope. Yeah, usually once there are no hopes, so most of the players resign the game. Here, black has absolutely nothing to hope for, just a full piece down. Yakuboyev is thinking. We are currently at move 40, so he gains half an hour of extra time. Yakuboyev can enjoy the position a little bit. It's too easy. It's too easy to miss, so I see no hopes. Absolutely no hopes for black. And personally, I would just resign with black, but Donchenko keeps on fighting. Even though I don't think he's gonna fight for a long time because it's senseless. You waste energy for nothing. There's another game to come tomorrow, so it makes no sense to fight in this kind of position. Okay, so Martinez Sindarov fighting draw. Sindarov tried to push. Martinez defended very well. VE Iragasi just a straight draw out of opening. VE been surprised by the Iragasi's move bishop e6. A rare line of Spanish, and the game ends in a forced draw. Iragasi is actually finishing the game with more time than he started, so instant play by Iragasi. Shankland Yesipenko, interesting game. Shankland put a bit of pressure, it was not enough. Yesipenko defended very well, and it is a draw. And yes, we have now Yakuboyev Donchenko. Yakuboyev was almost a winning position straight from the opening, and yes, now it's a piece up, so Yakuboyev quite certainly is going to win the game today. Alright, so that's it from me for today. I hope you enjoyed my commentaries. Tonight, Georgi and me, we will be streaming approximately 7 p.m. German time, so Middle European time. For those of you who has some time and enjoy our chess content, join us. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, it will help the channel, and wish you a good day eventually till today evening. Bye.